Hello, and welcome aboard to this episode of the We Are Reading One Piece podcast. This is a podcast dedicated to following the entire story of One Piece from beginning to end as we focus on each volume. We keep the discussion spoiler-free for new fans of the series, so this is the perfect place to follow along, whether you're new to the series or just want to visit the world of One Piece with us. This week, we will be covering the first part of Volume 65, To Nothing, which covers chapter 637 through 641. My name is Joel, and I'll be your host. Joining me today, we have Sean.
This is Sean.
We have Evan.
Evan here.
And we have Cody.
What's up?
What's going on? So we're going to be continuing the story from where Noah was starting to approach Fishman Island. So I will give a quick recap before we move on, but let me just give the summary from the beginning of the volume. The Strats finally reach Fishman Island, but are quickly ambushed by the new Fishman pirates. Their hatred of humans was caused by a long and terrible history of oppression. Now, Hody Jones has sworn to destroy the Ryugu Kingdom, become the new king of Fishman Island, and eliminate anyone who hopes for peace with humankind. Princess Shirahoshi and her brothers want peace, and they stand up to Hody with Luffy's help. A massive battle is about to engulf the entirety of Fishman Island.
So things are going great.
As they usually do in One Piece, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's a series that doesn't have any conflict at all.
Nope.
Now that's very much the opposite of the truth. But before we get into that conflict, we're going to take a little detour back to Drum Island with Decks of the World, Volume 21. Drum Island, the medical center, 100 doctors. Kreha has expanded the medical expertise on Drum Island even further.
Let's go.
Yay.
Yay.
Yeah. We go from 20 MDs to 100. Yeah, so this is good news for Drum Island. Instead of having one doctor, they're now like, all right, now we got a good amount of staff here. We can actually go and treat people. Not sure what the price is, but maybe they came down a little bit because they're not at a premium because Cray has the only doctor. So maybe they try to make it more reasonable for people. Hopefully.
Indeed.
But yeah, strangely that didn't come up in the cover story. So maybe next time.
Maybe.
I also like how Kreha put up Chopper's flag.
Aw.
Or I guess Heroic's flag in honor of him and Chopper.
And they made a new flag in honor of Heroic too.
Oh yeah, with the hat and Chopper too. Yeah, because it's a cross with Heroic's top hat, which I didn't actually notice until just now.
Yeah.
Pretty sweet.
Oh, and it's on a shirt too.
Yep.
Yeah, Korea's fashionable here.
Alrighty. So let's move along to the first chapter for the volume. Chapter 637, The Ancient Ark. As Luffy fights Hody at Concord Plaza, the citizens notice the Ark, Noah, looming over the island, threatening to burst the bubble, keeping the water out. Ratsumi falls from the Ark, begging Vanderdecken to get him back up. Vanderdecken announces over the loudspeaker from the Ark that it won't stop until it hits its target, Shirahoshi, making it clear he has no intention of helping his subordinate. Not wanting her people to die for her sake, Shirahoshi takes a bubble and floats up to the Ark's level to draw it away from the island. Hody jumps up to the Ark and Luffy follows.
Poor Watatsumi.
Yeah, man.
Whoops.
Yeah, it shows what kind of person Vanderdecken is and how much he cares about his loyal subordinates.
But really? Because this is the first time hearing that Vanderdecken might be kind of a scumbag. Like,
he's such an upstanding guy.
he really seemed like such a swell, perfect guy.
And what exactly is his plan on the Noah? Like, is the Noah going to be fine when it collides with the entire island? What's the plan?
He probably didn't think that far.
Abandoned
He
ship?
probably did not think that far.
He has one thing on his mind, and it's taking out Shirahoshi. The rest of the island is just collateral damage.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Shirahoshi is very brave here, stepping up and trying to draw the Noah away from the island.
She is, and yet Luffy still calls her Wimpy Hoshi again.
Yeah.
I do like seeing Luffy get to use armament hockey effectively against Hody
Yeah,
and
this
the
is
Iron
really
Shell
cool.
Squad.
Yeah.
With a smile on his face. I love the huge smile he has in
Yeah.
this fight sequence.
Yeah, that's pretty great.
Yeah, this is pretty cool. And I've said it before, but I really like the way Oda portrays the hardening. Like he draws it, it makes it really obvious.
Yeah.
Is it? I'm actually curious because I haven't seen the anime. How is it portrayed in the anime? Is it like, does the color change or like, does it gleam or something?
Yeah, it's like the same way.
It darkens.
Yeah, exactly. It looks like
Cool.
kind of like a coating or like a shell that kind of goes over the part where
Gotcha.
he uses the armament hockey.
Pretty cool.
Mm-hmm.
The shell squad was the Iron Shell Squad was no match for Luffy's forehead here.
Yeah, he's really using his head on this one.
I love he has time.
Every arc has one set of mooks. No, you're good.
No, I was gonna say I love how Hody has time to punch Luffy's head back and then call in for a squadron of shelled defense, and they're right there ready to hop in and take the hit.
Well, yeah, they were a little surprised to see how hard Luffy was able to hit. Like, oh, this weak human, he can't do anything. There's no way he's getting through this.
The scale of the Noah is just
Yeah.
insane.
I was literally just gonna say that.
Yeah, me too. Yeah, because we have like that one page, the full page dedicated to the large shot of Noah, just like eclipsing
Incredible.
Fishman Island.
Which I think works better as a single page rather than a double spread, because like it literally will not fit onto the paper.
Yeah.
So cool.
I think it was a very good move on his part.
Yeah, and then we can see like the Noah's starting to push in on the outer bubble, just like the coating. So this is like the same concept Oda introduced with the Sunny, with the way down to Fishman Island, where he gave us that concept of like how the bubbles work. So like you can't poke too many holes in too many places. But it's not really a situation they run into where something so big is able to affect the bubble of Fishman Island. Now we run into a situation where there is something that is going to put too much pressure on the bubble itself. It's too large of a surface area. It's now going to start to puncture the bubble and make it collapse and have the water pour in.
Pretty wild. It's crazy to think that Vanderdecken threw this thing. Like it kind of shows how powerful his Devil Fruit ability can be. This is insane.
Oh, that reminds me, because I know last week we were talking about him removing the glove. But I think it was a lot simpler than we're making it. I feel dumb personally because I wasn't really catching it, where I think he just had to take the glove off to make contact with the Noah. And because he used his right hand, that means whoever he throws is going to Shirahoshi. So Shirahoshi is designated as his target for his right hand. Then he leaves the left hand free so he can touch other things. So I think it's like whenever he throws something with that object, it goes to whoever he touched last with his bare hand. So that's why he took the glove off and touched the Noah with his right hand, was because he had to mark it for Shirahoshi as his target. But I know we had like a little discussion about that last week. I couldn't remember why he would do that, but I think that was the reason.
Yeah, looking pretty dire for Fishman Island here.
Yeah, this also catches Hody off guard because he wasn't expecting this, and Vandecken's kind of going off script here, and Hody's like, "What's that crazy guy doing? This wasn't part of the plan." And then Vandecken's like, "Yeah, I got my own plans now." So like their partnership was not really that strong to begin with. They've always been kind of like their own captain. And like they decided to each call the shots. So it's like we'll work together, but our goals aren't really fully in line. Like they were kind of aligned, but it seemed like they were a little further off than we might have initially thought.
Just makes me respect Hody even less, which I didn't think was possible. He is the worst. He is the worst. He is pathetic. He gets his ass kicked every time. He is the worst.
He also keeps jumping back and forth between killing Shirahoshi and marrying Shirahoshi.
Well, that's
Vanderdecken?
Vanderdecken, but yeah.
Oh, sorry, Vanderdecken. Yeah.
Also the worst.
Also the worst. No, Hody
But
is
like but Vander is never like, hey, I don't think we're ever really supposed to see him as a real threat in like a grand sense, whereas Hody's like the main villain, and he never has felt threatening to me a single time. He's the worst.
There is a time in this volume that will come up. I'll try to remember to mention it. There is a time I think he is pretty scary looking.
Scary looking and scary doing is something else.
Yeah. Vanderdecken still feels just extraneous, might be a little severe, but kind of extraneous to me. Because at least with Hody, he has the plan where he says, "Oh, I'm going to kill everyone at the Reverie," and that's revenge. With Vanderdecken, it's I'm going to have the power of the Sea Kings. And if I'm just forgetting, remind me. But I'm like, for what? Then it's just like, is there an arms race you're part of? Like, what do you need them for? I'm like genuinely curious. I'd love to get more, and I'd love to have more of a connection of it to why it matters to him.
I think it's only because his family wanted it, so he's like, I guess I'll want it too.
Which I guess it fits with the themes of this, I guess. Yeah, I mean, we'll see how the rest of the arc goes.
I mean, I think it's a very weak motivation, and it's not very fleshed out. But that is what he said in the flashback when he found out about Shiro. She's like, "Oh, my family has been looking for this person for generations, and like we knew about this like legendary mermaid. The Vanderdeckens have been trying to get this power for all these centuries. I'm the one who's going to be able to get it. So I don't know."
I mean, I say it makes sense in the fact that it's like, oh, generational theming, this thing that is inherited through time and an attitude toward people, but like you say, doesn't make it a strong motivation, even if it's in theme.
Yeah. That's okay, because we don't like Vanderdecken anyway, so.
Nope.
Yeah.
You know what I just thought of was I wonder who has more proposals. Didn't we in Thriller Bark? Didn't we have? Was it Lola that had like Lola had like numbered out how many proposals she had made to Absalom? Right?
It was just to people in general, but yeah, she had like, was it like 999 rejections or something?
Yeah, it was like she had like a number for how many rejected proposals she had, and I wonder how that would stack up with Vanderdecken's failed proposals.
Are you counting every time he throws something, or every time he physically goes up to ask her?
We'd have to ask Lola for what parameters she has for proposals.
Are you in front of me? Then that's what the parameter.
Damn.
All right, you guys get to move on to the next one?
Yeah.
All right, Decks of World Volume 22. Alabasta Koza, Royal Environmental Minister. Following the Civil War, Koza had returned to Yuba and has a new role.
Sweet.
Is the young guy next to Toto, is that the kid who got messed up during the war and like helped uncover the fact the crocodile's behind everything?
Maybe.
Probably.
I think it might be.
Maybe.
But good to see Yuba back on track.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Moving on to the chapter. Chapter 638, Escape-Hoshi. Shiroshi decides to lead Noah away from Fishman Island to prevent the bubble from bursting by swimming up toward Ryugu Palace. A group of citizens also made their way onto one of the chains and tried to slow down Noah. Unfortunately, Hody notices them and knocks them off. Luffy makes it past the bubble around Fishman Island and enters a layer of water, so he inflates a bubble around him using the coral that was given to him earlier by Jinbei. Vanderdecken continues his assault on Shirahoshi, throwing daggers at her. The princes arrive and help protect the princess. Fukaboshi meets up with Luffy and carries him to make him more mobile in the water, asking forgiveness for doubting the Straw Hats earlier. Hody pulls out his shark slicer blade that covers his fin. Determining he no longer needs Vanderdecken for his plots, Hody pierces him with his trident.
Yay, Vanderdecken is dead.
I hope these two just kill each other
Through and through.
through and through. Yeah, we didn't even
Alright.
mention the dagger that Shirahoshi took to the chest last chapter.
Oh yeah.
Oh yeah. Pretty brutal.
Not as brutal as this trident through and through. This is pretty brutal.
Nah.
Right through the gut.
Evan, we should make a through and through tier list at some point.
I know. We've been talking about making that counter forever. I wish we had done that from the jump. But
Yeah, that's all you guys.
Somebody in the comments, let us know what number we're on.
Yeah, all the comments.
Yeah. I'm sure we'll get a comment in like 5 years.
Just in time for the final arc. It'll work out perfectly.
it'll all line up.
We'll be doing a reread at that point, and we'll be having them to counter ourselves. I do think it was cool having Sanji kick Luffy up.
Mhm.
So
That
to
is
see,
cool.
like,
That was cool.
like way up in the sky. Sanji's like, "I got you." He's like up in the air. Luffy stretches, and then he gets forced by Sanji's kick. It just propels him like way up to the arc.
Sweet combo move. Yeah, the fact that Sanji can airwalk now is pretty sweet.
Yeah. That's a nice little upgrade for him.
Yeah.
I'd love Luffy's face as it gets compressed into the bubble. First.
Oh, hilarious.
And we do see all these citizens trying to pull the Noah by its chains, knowing they're not going to actually stop it from happening, but just trying to have some incremental amount of resistance.
Yeah, it's just like the fact that they're trying and not ready
Yeah.
to just give up and sit back and let Hody do his thing.
Mhm.
They're like, hey, we have to defend our country and our livelihood here. So let's do all that we can. Hody is just like, I'm just going to use my multi-attack here and just take everybody out at the same time.
Yeah.
Joel, was this the scary panel of Hody you were talking about?
That's the one.
Yeah,
Yes.
this is pretty great. The silhouette looks so cool.
Yeah, so Luffy gets into the bubble, and then behind him is Hody, like all shattered out, and we can we just see his eyes and his teeth.
Yeah.
It's a pretty cool panel.
And Luffy's out of his element here.
Yeah, so Luffy's now, he's like a fish out of water, except he's in the water fighting a fish. It's like the opposite.
Yeah.
Yeah, so
That's good.
it's like even worse than when Sanji had to fight QB back in Arlong Park in the water.
Yep.
So yeah, we know the fishmen are in their element when they're underwater, and they have like the mobility, and like Cody's kind of showing off over here, and they're just like a lot faster and stronger than regular human, especially Luffy here, who just has like the little bubble and he can't swim, so he's kind of stuck. But that's where Fukaboshi comes in and gives him a much needed mobility boost.
Just in time.
I also love every single shot of the Noah, the way that Oda has done the shading.
Yeah.
There's just something so foreboding. I don't know if the shading makes it look more ancient, but that's just something that feels more apparent to me.
I think it
Yeah.
does.
Yeah. Just anytime he plays with like line weights and things like that is always wonderful.
Yeah, it kind of looks like there's like a layer of like algae around like the upper part, and maybe like around like the chain area. So yeah, those types of things help like kind of sell how old this thing is supposed to be.
And actually, even as I look at the hull itself on the panel below Hody's silhouette, like just the way that the irregularity of the top of the hull itself just also reads to me as it being somewhat rotted through.
Yeah,
It's a really nice touch.
Don't worry, Usopp's gonna come out with a hammer and fix all of this, just like he
Bro.
did for the Mary. Just like he
I'm
did
not-
for the Mary.
I'm not ready. I'm not ready.
Where do we think Hody was keeping that shark slicer? This thing is huge.
he has it on his back. So if you actually look at the previous panels, you can see he has Sean, do you know what what's called where you plug the sword? Is it just a sheath or is it
sheath scabbard, sheath scabbard?
Yeah.
Like,
Oh, I guess I never noticed it.
yeah, so we just kind of see like the panels where he's been making his way up to Noah. So even like the last chapter, you can see that he has like this thing on his back. He has a trident on his back as well. So yeah, he was kind of keeping it in there, and yeah, then he unveils it in this chapter. Yeah, I would have thought of that. They're gonna ask where this thing came from. He's like, well, it was there.
it was there.
I do like this as a concept, though. It makes sense to use this as a shark fishman. So he has like this blade that he can just put onto his fin and make his fin deadly. And like it also, because it's longer too, it's longer than his natural fin, but it's able to rest on there. But it gives him a wider range and like more cutting power. We see him demonstrated by cutting through this rock and a fish as well. He cuts through like this giant fish.
It is a nice callback to Arlong's sawtooth blade too. Just having a blade weapon for Hobie as well.
The sharks and their blades. Okay, and then we also get this betrayal where Hody turns on Van Decken and he's like, you've already outlived your usefulness. If you die, the ship will just fall on the Fisherman Island. I'm okay with that. So that's the new plan. And we've seen that Hody has no hesitation about attacking fishmen as well. So it's not just humans. He'll take on anybody. Very self-serving here.
Mm-hmm.
I'm also just noticing his tattoos. Hody's tattoos. Is that an hour-long tattoo on his arm?
Yeah,
it looks like it.
He's got like a whole sleeve of it.
Yeah. All right, we good to move on?
Yeah.
All right, moving on to Decks of the World, Volume 23. Kingdom of Alabasta, new clothes for this year's Reverie. Terracotta measures Chaka and Pel for fitment of their new clothes.
Pel!
Glad to see he's doing well.
He's fine. He just has one giant scar. He's fine.
Just one big old scar.
Yep.
It's absurd.
At least he wasn't unscathed.
Hey, he's my
I
favorite.
am so excited
Will
to
of
see him
P.
die in the live action. I'm so excited
Will of
to watch him
P.
die in the live action.
Maybe they just cut that part completely.
Sure.
Or maybe he just like throws the bomb and it's just like, okay. Or like he throws a bomb and we just kind of see him like fly away from the bomb. No, they'll just cut in the scene from The Dark Knight Rises. And they'll just use that.
Oh my god. Cobra goes to a cafe, looks over, sees Pel.
Have a drink with Vivi.
More like Christopher Oda.
And then Chaka is wearing like jackal underwear. Or are they shorts?
Those are some fire shorts. Like, if those were workout
cool.
shorts, I would get a pair. Those are pretty sick.
Yeah, and then unrelated to the cover story, just a little note here. We have the SBS where Oda shows the new Straw Hat Jolly Rogers. Because each of them has their own personal Jolly Roger.
Pretty sweet.
Luffy's is still the same, but everybody else had an updated one.
Yeah.
Yeah, if it ain't broke.
If it ain't broke.
I do have a set of card sleeves with Brooks Jolly Roger on them. I haven't
Nice.
broken out in quite
That's
some
pretty
time.
cool.
I might need to, once Brooke gets Lear in the card game, immediately.
Someday.
Someday. I'm hoping.
Maybe OP12.
Maybe. We'll see. I would hope.
All right. Moving on to the chapter. Chapter 639, Protect Everything. With Hody's betrayal, Vanderdecken targets Hody with his left hand. Hody says it's better if Vanderdecken dies now to cause Noah to fall on Fishman Island. After all, the Fishman District will survive even if Fishman Island doesn't. Vanderdecken's thrown axe backfires as Hody puts Vanderdecken in the way of the trajectory, causing Vanderdecken to fall down onto Noah. With him out of the way, he can now set his sights back on Shirahoshi. Luffy and Fukaboshi get Hody away from Shirahoshi. Hody taunts Luffy that he can't do anything against him in the water. But Luffy says he's been training for the last 2 years to protect everything. At the plaza, Watsumi defeats Tsurume, but Jinbei steps up to take on the giant fishman. Upset that Nami was knocked over by the wind of the giant falling, Sanji teams up with Jinbei. Zoro protects Robin from Hyozu, challenging the swordsman to fight.
And we get, is this the one where we're getting an SBS that Hachi was referring to the swordsman as the, or is that later? No, that's later. Never
That
mind.
was a couple. No, that was a couple chapters ago in the SBS.
Oh, okay, yeah.
yeah,
When it was,
yeah.
Hachi said he was the second best swordsman in Fishman Island. This was the first. So
There he is.
appropriate for Zoro.
Yep.
We love.
3 sword style versus 6 swords.
I think he can do 8.
Is he doing 8?
Yeah, I think he has 8 swords in his hand.
Yeah, I think it is 8.
Yeah, yep.
3 sword style versus 8 sword style.
I'm not the best at math, but I'm not liking those numbers.
I don't like those odds.
It's like call the ambulance, but not for me.
Me. Robin was ready though. Robin was ready to fight. Good for her.
Yeah, Zoro just saw swords. He's like, let me get in there. Robin, get my way.
No.
Yeah, I like how Zoro's just like, hey, this could be a light warm up.
Really setting expectations there, buddy.
Excited for this.
I do like the way Watsumi just kind of gets knocked around here. So even though he's like so big, like Jinbei and Sanji both casually just like are able to kick him away. So Jinbei kicks him, and then Sanji gets mad that he's falling. So he kicks him back up. He's like, hey, get back on your feet. How dare you knock me over?
Poor Tsurume though.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And we do get to see Zio doing more Zio things. Telling him, no, he said the square's in your hands. He was never going to destroy the island. This is bullshit. Buddy, you're fine.
And it kind of shows how easily manipulated Watsumi is.
Yeah. Oh, buddy.
Yeah, I was going back. I was trying to see if there was anything in particular that made it seem like Van Dyken could have said something like this, like maybe something rhymed with square. But I didn't really see anything from their conversation. So I think he's just straight up telling a lie. Now it was like, oh, you misheard him. He's like, oh no, he totally said this. You just don't remember. That also reminds me, Cody, the translator for this volume is Stephen Paul.
And just Stephen Paul.
Just Stephen Paul.
Our guy.
This is where he takes over for the main translating duties.
This is a thing you two have that I will just never delve into. It's going to be your own thing.
Welcome to the golden age of translated One Piece. Here we are.
Is he still doing it as of today?
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah, I enjoy him in particular because I've been able to listen to the One Piece podcast, where he goes on to that podcast as a guest, like very regularly.
Oh, cool.
And he will explain his reasoning behind certain translations, or he'll point out the things where it's like, oh, this is like a play on this word. So it's really fun to like listen to him explain the reasoning and like the little jokes that Oda had in there that's not going to be apparent. So he can kind of give the insight as the translator.
Gotcha.
Mm-hmm. It's really interesting too, because it's not like Oda gives him any notes. So he's kind of like on his own. So, and then he also gets it like where I think he'll get it like a week in advance or something. So he doesn't actually get a lot of time to do it. And sometimes he has to make a decision, and that's where it's like also fun to hear him like talk about why he made a certain decision. Like he's like, oh, I was debating between this or this, and sometimes like his like instinct will be right, and other times like, oh, we have to correct this in the volume. But it's just interesting to hear the process that goes into that as well.
Yeah, it is so cool to think about. There's a funny pun he makes in the next that's made in the next chapter that I'll bring up.
I will put a pin in that.
Put a pin in that.
I also love seeing the impact of this 7,000 brick roundhouse kick that Jinbei does.
Yeah.
Seeing it travel up Wadatsumi's body.
Yeah, it's so good.
And I also like the moment where Hody is telling Luffy, like, hey, what can you do? Like, you're a weak human. And Luffy says, wrong, I'll protect everything. That's what the last 2 years were for. So I think this is important because he was so motivated for this because he let Ace down. He wasn't able to protect the things he cared about. So he kind of made like a promise to himself after that. I'm going to get stronger so I never lose people who are close to me again. I want to be able to protect everything that's important to me. I want to be able to have the power. Like, what's the point of being like the king of the pirates if you can't protect the things that are important to you? If other people come in and just take it away from you. So Luffy doesn't want that to ever happen again. So that was his main motivation for the last 2 years. And now we're trying to see, we're starting to see what the payoff is and like how much he trained and, you know, the end result.
Yeah. It's good to see he's got his confidence back.
Hmm.
We didn't mention that Hyozu has reached his final form. His hair's also white now. He's drugged up to
Yeah.
the max.
He's also been popping the pills and getting the energy steroids. We're seeing he's been affected as well.
Yeah, between that and the drinking, he probably doesn't have too much time left.
All right. You guys got anything else for this one?
Matchups are getting set.
Yep.
All right. We'll move on to the next part of the cover story, Decks of the World, Volume 24, Kingdom of Alabasta, Vivi, age 18. Vivi walks the streets of Alabasta with Karu and Eyelash.
She's back. She's thriving. Woo! Good for her.
Yeah. That's nice that Eyelash kind of got brought into the fold as well.
Mhm.
From being like this stray camel in the desert to part of the royal family. Okay, moving on to the chapter. Chapter 640, Above Fishman Island. While Nami fights off the Fishman soldiers, Zio turns invisible and holds her in place while Ikaros attempts to spear her. Fortunately, Brook clumsily gets in the way and takes the blow. Ikaros is confused as to why his spear is not sucking out the moisture from Brook, but Brook is all bones. General Frankie enters the brawl, taking on Ikaros, while Brook takes on Zio once he realizes he is standing on his face. Having experience with their fight in Alabasta, Usopp and Chopper know how to deal with those who dig tunnels underground, so Usopp sets up an explosion on Daruma in the tunnel system. Usopp takes on Daruma thinking it'll be 2-on-1, but Dosun challenges Chopper. Back above Fishman Island, Luffy has figured out Hody's plans for Noah to crash on the island below. Hody notices that Vanderdecken must still be alive because it's still not falling. But inside, Vanderdecken trips, knocking himself out. Noah now begins to fall, the others' horror.
Uh-oh.
So I like this chapter a lot more than the last one as far as the Straw Hat setups. I think just because of how much interplay there is between the crew members, which is something that I loved everything with Marineford and all the world building, but something I very much missed about the crew itself. And seeing Brooke intrude on Nami's fight and Frankie intrude on their fight and all the back and forth there. And the Chopper Usopp teamwork, that will never get old for me. I will always love that. So this one, there was a lot of flow to this one that I don't think there was quite as much of as at the end of the last chapter.
Yeah.
In my opinion.
Yeah, I feel like there's a little bit of like a shakeup going on where it seems like, oh, this person's going to fight this person. And it's like, oh, this other person steps in. Now they're going to fight that guy instead. So it's a little fun like mix up here and there. Also, like you said, nice callback with Usopp and Chopper to Alabasta. So yeah, this is a pretty fun chapter.
The Storm Cloud Rod, that's such a sick moment for Nami. That was such a
very
cool.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of the Brook panty jokes, but it is pretty funny the way like it's so important to him right now. He's like, oh, that reminds me, I have to go ask Nami about this. He's like, I might take a gander at those panto, and he gets instead. That's the reason why he walks right up to her to ask this question, and that's why he gets hit by the spear. And then he gets close up, so he gets hit by Nami with a punch and speared in the back.
Yeah.
I think it is like the slapstick
Oh,
that does
man.
make it like that separates it from like being just pure cringe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like it's like so dumb that it kind of works. Like it's funny because like it's so dumb.
Mhm.
And then the sequence leads to this like made me crack up where Brooke steps on Zio's face because Zio was invisible.
Goated.
We couldn't see him.
Yeah.
Goated. So good.
And then like when they start to see him, like he reveals himself, and his reaction to Brooke stepping on his face is says, "How do you like this?" And Brooke's like what? And then he's like, "I've been headbutting the sole of your foot. You may not feel it now, but the throbbing will certainly come to discomfort you after some amount of time." And the reaction, like, he just can't admit that the guy was stepping on his face.
He's a Bleach character in a One Piece arc. I love him.
It's a funny gag.
And the Brick apologizes for staying on him, and then people are like, "Don't point it out." And Zio even names a move. He's like, "I call that the Super Soul Headbutt." Yeah. So for me, it's like this kind of stuff that makes Zio the best character of this arc.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I could not agree more.
Right before the Zio scene in the Ikaros versus General Frankie panel, we get Ikaros saying, "Oh, put a squid on it," which again is a funny pun. I feel like that's a fun,
Yeah.
a fun pun to throw in there.
Which that to me, that's the kind of thing I wonder if that was Stephen Paul, because that's the kind of thing he would think to put in there. Is like, oh,
Right, and I feel like that's an American expression. Put a lid on it is an American expression. So I can't imagine that translated, but who knows?
For me, I can imagine that I can trust that it was actually something to translate or to analogously apply to English. Like, oh, there's some sort of squid pun here. This isn't necessarily the same one, but it's the thing that Oda's intention was. Whereas things like Volume 1, oh, you mountain macaque, like calling a monkey, or like general pirate speak, did not feel to me like it was informed by the text. And this is the case where I feel like I can trust, oh, this was the spirit of this was Oda's intention.
Right.
Right. Or it doesn't like, or just the translation is better. Like you said, like the macaque one, like felt forced. Like it wasn't funny because it was probably a joke in Japanese that was forced into a joke in English and it didn't translate. Where I wonder here if there like you said, if there was already a joke there that he did that just worked out well and he came up with a good translation, or if he just saw an opportunity and took it.
Yeah, because I do know from listening to Stephen Paul explain his reasoning is like he will put puns in. He's like, well, this wasn't exactly what he said, but I thought this would work as an adaptation for like what Oda's trying to convey. Like there's this joke here, but that doesn't translate. So I put this joke in because I thought this would fit that mold a little bit better. So that is the type of thing I feel like he would modify to make it fit better in the text, and I think it pays off.
Yeah.
I'm just used to other English adaptations of One Piece that try to just put jokes in wherever they could, with zero regard for the author's intention. Not in the manga, and I'm always grateful when someone does try to follow that intention and reserve those for when they're meant to be there.
Yeah.
It's always lovely. Wait, has Evan seen the 4Kids dub? How much does Evan know about it?
So I think you guys have shown me clips, but I haven't really seen it.
Okay, I wasn't sure.
In its entirety.
Okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha. No, you don't have to. You don't have to. I just had to figure out where you were at with the lore. Okay.
Yeah, I haven't seen like the whole thing either. I've seen episodes and I've seen like clips, but I haven't watched like all of the 4Kids dub. I haven't watched all the official dub.
I know that it ends
Oh,
with like either their ship falling from the sky or something falling onto the ship, so it like ends with they all die. Yeah.
It's the start of Giant. It's the ship just falling onto them.
Yeah, and that was the last one they dubbed. So like,
oh, God, genocide. We may be a little over our head for 7-year-olds. Oops. Guess they're dead, but we won't say it because we're 4Kids.
Because instead of like to be continued, it's just like not to be continued. They throw them in there.
The end.
The end.
Because normally every episode ends with to be continued.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, thank you, Stephen Paul. Big improvement.
Look out for that iceberg.
Oh my god.
Because we gotta go.
I
We gotta
can't.
keep going.
I cannot tonight. I cannot tonight. I will rant at some point. At some point it will happen. I'm gonna put a squid on it.
Oh, actually, I might mention this before, but there is now the official English adaptation for Wanted. It finally came out, I think it was this year.
Oh, that's right. I forgot about
I
that.
think Stephen Paul might have done the translation for that as well. I have to double check because I think he did work on it for the adaptation for the Netflix special that we covered.
Cool.
I think he worked on a translation. I don't know if they used his stuff 1-to-1, but I think he helped, or like there was something with it where like he had to do some translation for it. So I'd imagine he probably did it for the official release on the manga.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, I just wanted to also mention that while I was thinking about it. Yeah, I think it'd be fun to maybe cover that at some point too, do the rest of the stories.
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah,
Especially since they were all published very much by this point, and it's so cool seeing where Oda's humor came from. Where's everything?
I haven't actually read it yet. I bought it, but I haven't read it.
I read like fan translations like way back in the day, so I'm very curious to see like how the official stacks up.
Yeah, I think I've only read Monsters and then the One Piece one.
The God one's pretty funny. We'll get there.
Okay. Yeah, not to derail everything, but yeah, I just wanted to mention that. Yeah, so then we end here where Vanderdecken clumsily slips and falls and knocks himself out.
What?
So
I had to reread it, be like, is this really what's happening right now?
Well, in his defense, it doesn't look like he has very stable footing. However, yeah, it looks like there's like a block or something on the ground, or like something sticking out where he falls and like he hits his head on this block area.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so now he's unconscious, and that causes the devil fruit to not work correctly. So that's why it's no longer following Shirahoshi. It's going to start following. So yeah, before he wasn't fully dead, so now he's knocked out here. So same effect. You guys got anything else for this one?
I'm good.
Okay. We'll move on to Decks of the World, Volume 25, Kingdom of Alabasta, Cobra on his sickbed.
No, Cobra!
Bibi visits her father who has fallen ill.
Did he?
Doesn't look too serious.
I've forgotten. I've straight up forgotten what it was called. But did he drink some of the the special power drink?
Oh no!
Oh, not
the family fun fuel.
The family fan
He
fuel.
He didn't read the label.
Still my greatest contribution to this podcast.
I hope that apple he's about to eat isn't the one that was in Eyelash's mouth in the last cover story.
It is.
I bet it is.
Well, there's 3 apples. There's 3 apples in the last cover story, so
That's fair.
could be one of a few.
Yeah. So I mean, this isn't great news, but hopefully he recovers. He looks like he's still in good spirits.
Yeah.
And maybe he comes to visit, bring some flowers and some groceries and stuff. And he's like, "Hey, did you check out this newspaper yet? We know this guy." Yeah, and one thing, like, we haven't really been mentioning it recently, but like one consistent thing is all of the people that we're seeing in these cover stories are pretty much reading the newspaper and reacting to the news of the Straw Hat's return.
Yeah, every single cover story has a newspaper in it.
The only ones I don't know if they did was like the Barate ones. I know Zeph did, but then there's also the one with like was Patty underwater?
Yes.
Or he was in front of like the
with the mackerel.
Underwater, but yeah. But for almost every single one has the newspaper, which is pretty cool. All right, but let's wrap up with the last chapter for the episode. That'd be chapter 641. What are you? Neptune had explained to the princes that it is important to protect Noah because a promise was made to someone centuries ago for a great purpose that has yet to be fulfilled. With the ship falling, Luffy says he'll destroy it, but Fukaboshi urges him not to. He suggests seeing if Van Decken is still alive to get the ship moving again. Luffy closes in on Hody, sending him flying into the Noah. Hody decides to take the air out of the bubble around the Ark to take away Luffy's ability to fight there. Fukaboshi confronts Hody, asking him how he can do such horrible things, and what did the humans do that made him hate them so much. Hody's response shocks the prince and Hoshi. The operators of the air tank for Fishman Island contact Luffy on a transponder signal to let him know they have a way to fill the bubble around Noah with air, but they will only have one shot. The bubble can allow Luffy to fight by giving him air, though it won't be able to lift Noah. Luffy is able to catch Hody and break his fin blade. Fukaboshi tells Luffy he's finally realized Hody's true nature.
Very curious. Very curious what Hody said. I feel like I've been saying this whole arc. Is like, what happened to him for him to be like this? So we might
What's
be
his
getting
story?
an answer soon. Yeah, what's his deal?
Do you have any theories?
Not really. No.
Okay. Yeah, we don't have a lot to work with, and it's very cryptic because we don't have like a speech bubble or anything. We just kind of see there was an exchange. We have no idea what was said.
Right.
So Oda likes to do this every once in a while, where somebody will say something and he won't reveal it until later.
Mm-hmm.
But whatever it is, seems to be very surprising. I do love that Luffy was able to break the blade.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
It kind of reminds me of like the Krieg fight or Arlong, where he breaks the sawtooth blade.
Mhm.
Awesome. Yeah. Same with the teeth growing back.
Yeah, we see
Yeah, I
that
was
again.
gonna say. Yep.
Seeing the greatest hits from Arlong Park. Yeah, and there's a little sequence. It's like a little mini flashback where Luffy had a conversation with the air tank operators. So they had this plan here where they're like, "Hey, we're able to put some air back in the bubble around Noah. It's not gonna be able to help lift the ship, so it's still gonna be falling, but you can at least fight there." So they were setting this up here. So we'll have to see how this plays out. But at least they have a plan to at least try to stop Hody and have Luffy be able to fight on fair footing.
Convenient.
It was quite convenient. It's not my favorite mid-chapter twist. I think mainly just because I didn't think there was a lot of foreshadowing for it, and it just happened so quick.
Hmm.
But I think it might
Yeah.
just be where Oda's at with the arc at this point, that he doesn't have the room for that sort of thing.
Yeah, it feels a little shoehorned in because it was presented as a flashback instead of being like in the moment kind of thing. So it does kind of feel like an odd decision to go back and make it a flashback as opposed to be like, hey, Straw Hat, we understand the situation, what's going on. We can do this to help you out. And
Right.
it just kind of feels like weird the way it was placed in here. Like I don't have a problem with the actual idea. Yeah, it's just
Mhm.
presented in a little awkward of a way, which is a little unusual for Oda.
Yeah, no, the mechanism of it, of like shooting this air bubble, I think that's really, really cool. I'm just like,
Yeah.
it didn't need this many steps. Just go with the idea. It's awesome.
Yeah. Of course, there's a machine that makes giant bubbles, or else how would we get Fishman Island in the first place?
Hmm.
Right.
And Ryuga Castle.
Yep.
Yep. Find ourselves in quite a situation. Massive ship falling. Cody's out of control.
When has Hody ever been in control?
He hasn't.
Yeah, it's interesting here how Luffy says, "I'm going to break the ship." So we know Luffy. He's like, "Hey, my way to solve things usually by force. So let me just punch things really hard."
Yep.
So he's going to just smash the ship to pieces. But then he gets stopped by Fukaboshi because Neptune had relayed to the princess earlier that there's a reason that they have the Ark, and it's for an important reason. We don't really know what that reason is. It just seems to be one that has been passed down for centuries, and it seems to be something that Neptune is almost like willing to risk the destruction of Fishman Island in order to protect the ship. Like I don't think, like if it comes down to it, they probably don't want to do it. Like they'll probably have to destroy it if it comes down to it, but they're like trying to do that as like a very last resort.
They're like trying to not acknowledge it. Like, okay, well, what if Veradex is dead? And let's move past that.
Yeah, and then there's also this moment where Neptune says it's a ship that's yet to fulfill its purpose. Even the methods of its creation are long lost, and so no, it cannot be harmed until its promised day. So the way that was made is also a little mysterious. And it's not like, oh, we can just make another one. There's something special about the Ark for some reason. We are just not very privy to that information quite yet. Yeah, it's not like, hey, let's just go throw this together and make another Ark. That's fine.
Oh, yeah. Just a casual new arc.
Yeah, I feel really bad for Escape-Hoshi here as well, because she's been desperately trying to lead Noah away to protect her people. And then when she realizes that the ship isn't following anymore, she's desperately reaching for it. And she's like, Lord Deccan, if you are alive, please set your target on me again. Just spare Fishman Island. So she's actually trying to put herself in harm's way for her people. But now she's not really able to help the way that she was before. And she's really pleading for Lord Deccan, like, hey, attack me again, please. Just because she cares about her people that much. Yeah, I think that's all I got. Do you guys have anything else?
That's about it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm very curious to hear what Hody had said.
Mm-hmm.
You and me both. All right. So, any final thoughts for the volume?
This leaves off on a big cliffhanger. I'm just like excited to see where this takes us. Stakes are high.
Stakes are high.
It's been a very just like forward, go. Like it's been almost one long action sequence since the last like 20 chapters or so.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely the setup portion of the arc. And so I'm excited for the payoff.
Yeah, we got all of our face-offs lined up, ready to go.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I feel like this is a fun section of the story so far. You know, like you guys are saying, there's a little bit of setup here, but it's more for like setting the stage for these fights. So we're seeing some interesting fighting combinations coming up. So we'll see how those go. But yeah, there's also some interesting concepts brought up here, and I'm curious to see, when we get some answers. All right, well, that will conclude this week's episode of the We Are Reading One Piece podcast. You can find this episode wherever podcasts are found at We're Reading One Piece podcast.buzzsprout.com or on our YouTube channel at We're Reading One Piece. This is a spoiler-free channel up to where we record the podcast. So if you're new to the series, you can visit the channel there. You can also find me and this podcast on my YouTube channel at Pirate King Codex for more One Piece content. If you have any questions, comments, or feedback, you can reach us at wearereadingonepiece@gmail.com. We'd love to hear from listeners, so if you're enjoying the show, or if you have any suggestions on how we can make it better, let us know. Next episode, we'll be finishing Volume 65 to Nothing. I've been Joel, and I've been joined by Sean.
This has been Sean.
Evan.
Thanks for listening.
And Cody.
See you next time for the true nature. That's all I got this time. Nothing crazy.
Kapow.
Well, Pam.
All right. Well, be sure to bring along all of your hopes and dreams, and we'll see you on the next episode.